Welcome to another OAGi educational video. My name is Jim Wilson, and I'm OAGi's Chemical Industry Council Architect. Before we get started, I want to provide a brief overview of OAGi. The Open Applications Group, or OAGi, is a not-for-profit standards development organization. It was founded in 1994 and is focused on building enterprise-ready standards for B2B, enterprise, mobile, and cloud interoperability. Today, Gary Knights is with me to discuss the value of system-to-system automation. Gary is Director of Product Management with Elimica. Welcome, Gary.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
Gary, before we dive into today's topic, can you give us an elevator pitch for Elimica?
Yes. Elimica is a supply chain operating network. What that means is we help interconnect the ERP systems of large process industry companies to allow them to better execute supply chain and logistics and financial transactions. We work across industries including agricultural, automotive, chemicals, consumer packaged goods, oil and gas, pharmaceuticals. And the companies that we do work for include large global companies like Exxon, Procter & Gamble, Dow, DuPont, BASF, Lyondell. We have over 7,000 member companies on our network, and we support their mission-critical supply chain operations 24/7, 365 days a year.
Well, thanks, Gary. I've had the privilege of working with Elimica experts in developing standards and guidelines for the chemical and agriculture industries for over 13 years. Okay, well, let's move on to today's topic, the value of system-to-system automation. Take it away, Gary.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Okay, so the value of automation, we really see two types of automation value. On the left is quantitative benefits, and on the right are qualitative benefits. Quantitative benefits include things like reducing data entry costs and errors. And we also see that downstream error correction and more so prevention actually offers the biggest savings. For example, avoiding the misrouting of an ocean shipment. That can save tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, just for an example. The quantitative benefits can include helping the organization make better decisions. And this really comes about from having better data in your systems. So just to give you one example of automation value, let's look at something as simple as a customer order. So by automating customer orders, you can lower the error correction costs. Data keying, paper handling, converting and correcting data. Automation can save money in all of these areas. But I think a bigger area is the second major bullet, improving agility in operations. One example that we see with automation is, imagine if you take customer orders and you have a cutoff time of noon. And if an order comes in before noon, you promise you'll ship it that same day and it's going to arrive that same day. If a fax comes in at 11:55 and you have some sort of disruption going on, you lose track of the fax machine, you're hungry, you run out to lunch, you miss that order. You don't notice it until you get back at 12:45, 1 o'clock. Then you realize, oh my gosh, there's a same-day delivery order. Well, your crew that's doing your pick, pack, and ship operations, they're already working. They already have their work queued up, and then you put another order on top of them. That's an example of how automation can improve your operations. If that order had been automated, you wouldn't put the loading crew into a position to have to work extra. Another area is better data quality. The more accurate and more timely the data in your system, the better decisions you can make, and fewer downstream errors are going to be present. So this slide shows some industry research on the value of accurate data, and it really ties back to that last point of better data quality. The cost of inaccurate data can be huge. In some fields, some industries, they say anywhere from 8 to 12% of revenue. Poor data quality in other industries can cost up to 20% of operating profits. So these are very large numbers, and you see it in our own businesses. You can probably imagine how difficult it can be to get accurate data out of your systems. You have to pull spreadsheets, and the data in the spreadsheets might be inaccurate. There might be obsolete part numbers. So if you have accurate data in your systems, you can more easily make decisions with that data and make more accurate decisions. So to summarize, the value of automation comes down into qualitative and quantitative benefits. And I think one to just end on here is the cost of errors. And there's really two types of error costs. One is the cost to fix an error, and the other is the cost of an error you do not know about. The cheapest error to fix is fix it on order entry, but if you let an error sneak into your system, it is going to be much more expensive when it hits a downstream process. You might ship material to the wrong location. You might pay an invoice, might issue an invoice at the wrong rate. Wouldn't it be much more efficient for your organization just to cut those errors out through automation? That's really where I see the value of automation. Jim?
Well, thanks, Gary. This is great stuff. And, you covered things at a high level, and we look forward to exploring some of the details in future videos. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Welcome to another OAGi educational video. My name is Jim Wilson, and I'm OAGi's Chemical Industry Council Architect. Before we get started, just a word about who OAGi is. The Open Applications Group is a not-for-profit standards development organization. It was founded in 1994 and is focused on building enterprise-ready standards for B2B, enterprise, mobile, and cloud interoperability. Today, Gary Knights is with me to discuss the value of system-to-system automation. Gary is the Director of Product Management with Olimica. Welcome, Gary.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay, Gary, before we dive into the topic, can you give us an elevator pitch for Olimica?
Yes. Jim, Olimica is a supply chain operating network. That means we interconnect the ERP systems of large global corporations to help automate supply chain and logistics functions. We work in a number of industries: agriculture, automotive, chemicals, consumer packaged goods, and oil and gas, and pharmaceuticals. And we work primarily for large multinational global companies: Exxon Mobil, Procter & Gamble, Dow, DuPont, BASF, Michelin, Goodyear, Continental Tires. So we automate their supply chains.
Oh, thanks, Gary. I want to point out that I've had the privilege of working with Gary and other Olimica experts in developing standards and guidelines for the chemical and agriculture industries over the past 13 years. Okay, let's move on to today's topic, the value of system-to-system automation. Take it away, Gary.
Okay. So this slide outlines some of the values of automation. There's quantitative benefits like reducing data entry costs and error costs, and qualitative benefits, faster, better decision making, being able to spend more time with your customers, and being able to have a market-driven supply chain. The next slide, I'm going to focus on some specific values that you see in automation, and specifically around automating orders. So the graph shows the cost of a manual order of $30, and with automation significantly reducing some of those costs. And there's a lot of research on the cost of an order. and it ranges anywhere from, some people say it's $15 and some going up to $200. In our analysis, we picked a conservative $30 value. But there's three main areas where we see that automation can reduce order costs. The first one is in lowering error correction costs. And a really good example of this is just manually converting a unit of measure. If your customer orders in pounds and that needs to be converted to kilograms, you do that manually and you make a mistake, you could have a problem. Versus if you automate those types of conversions, especially the more complex ones, you can error-proof your process. The second one is improved agility in operations. An example of this might be missing a cutoff time for a same-day order. So if the order gets in before noon, you guarantee you're going to ship it to your customer that same day. If it comes in afternoon, you let them know that they'll have it the next day. Well, let's say the customer sends the order in right before cutoff time, and you have a manual process, and someone just drops the ball. They have to go pick up a sick child. They have to go to lunch. They have to pick up help out another customer service rep with a problem, and that sort of thing can put your operational staff into an overtime mode. They're rushing around trying to get a shipment that the customer delivered early, but they got it late. So that's another example of automation helping the organization save time and money. The last one's better data quality, and this is actually a huge one. One very simple example would be if you get the price of an invoice wrong. If you have your invoice price 2 cents per pound too low on a 40,000 pound order, I think that's like $800, your customer's not going to tell you. But if you accidentally price that too high by 2 cents, your customer certainly will tell you when you send them an invoice that's too great. So if that pricing difference was caused by an order entry error, you have a problem there that automation could solve for you. This slide shows some other examples of accurate data and the value of it. And I would just point to the second column and the second bullet down, where data problems are intensified with ERP systems that are highly linked. And in business to business, this is true too. And what you want to do is, for example, stop a problem in your customer system from becoming a problem in your system. Automation can do that if you have the right network master data systems in place to automatically correct the data as it flows system to system. So let me conclude by, on the value of automation slide again, and look at the cost of errors. You have the cost to fix an error, and then you have the cost of an error that you have to correct, that you don't even know about. And I would argue that it's much cheaper to prevent an error than fix it later, and automation prevents errors. Jim, back to you.
Thanks, Gary. This is great stuff, and it's certainly high level, and I know you have a lot more to share, and we look forward to exploring some of the details in future screencasts. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.